We have Dr. Tatum with us this afternoon. He is from Tennessee, and he's going to be talking to us about Twitter and Twitcasting. And so at this point, I'm just going to turn it over to him and let him take it away and show us all about the wonderful tool. Welcome, Dr. Tatum, and we're so glad that you're with us today.
Well, thank you very much, and I am really looking forward to interacting with everyone. And for those people who follow me on Twitter, they are very familiar that I do a Twitcast while talking about Twitcasting, because what I want people to see is how easy it is to do a Twitcast. Now, when I was in NSD a few weeks ago, Twitter had come out with a new program called Periscope, and everyone kept coming up to me and saying, "Are you using Periscope? Don't you think how great it is?" And it is a great tool, and no offense to Periscope, but I've been using Twitcast now for about 4.5 years, and I think you're going to find that some of the behind-the-scenes things that you can do with Twitcasting from an educational standpoint, I still lean more toward Twitcast than I do Periscope. Now, if Periscope changes some things that allows you to do the same behind-the-scenes things, then to me it will become a good tool to use educationally. But if you just want to share something real quick to your Twitter followers, Periscope is great. From an educational standpoint, I would highly recommend that you consider Twitcasting. Now, over in the left-hand side, for those of you that are actually part of the session, you may have to scroll up a little bit, but I have given you 3 links. I've given you a link to my blog, where I have posted some information about today's session. I've also given you a link to my blog with Twitcasting information. And then the third link is this particular presentation on SlideShare. So if you just scroll up, you will see those 3 links that I have provided to you. All right, so now we're going to continue on. I've been in this thing we call education for ever since 1979, but ever since 1983, I've been a part of educational technology. And I really feel like it's great for us to use whatever tools are at our disposal. When you hear Twitcasting, what is it? Well, it gives us an opportunity to present live whatever we're doing. And the nice thing about Twitcasting is that you can log in with either your Twitter ID or you can log in with your Facebook ID. Now, people ask me, well, which one should I use? Use the one that you use for your professional learning network. For me, that's Twitter, because the only thing you're going to see me tweeting about are things dealing with education. You won't see a tweet that I'm going into Starbucks or I'm going into a 7-Eleven. You won't even see that on Facebook for me. But use the one that you use for your professional learning network. And so it's easy. When you go into twitcasting.tv, it'll ask you to log in. You can create a login, but I would recommend you to do either your Facebook or Twitter. That way, when you begin a Twitcast, just like my followers, they receive a tweet that I was Twitcasting. Don't have to do anything other than send out that tweet. And I'm going to show you how you can set up those on your smartphone, so once you get started, all you've got to click is a simple button. The nice thing about Twitcast is you can do Twitcast on a Mac or PC, but it's also mobile. You can use it on any smartphone. There is an iOS app and an Android app. Both of them look the same. It's a little blue icon bird with the word live on it. And you use that to do your Twitcast, which is what I'm doing right now on my iPhone. To watch the Twitcast, you download what's called Twitcast Viewer. And it's a little green bird with the word Viewer. And it's both for iOS and Android. Now, I've also given the links to those as well, but if you're an iOS user or you're an Android user, then you know how to go to the App Store and download the apps. Again, just so you will know, the live is the little blue bird, and the viewer is the little green bird. I have some settings to make on your computer if you use your computer. When you log into TwitCast and you click you're ready to broadcast, this screen is going to pop up. They now have added the category of education. So you're able to click education. You're also able to give it a subtitle. Now in this example was one I did in 2014 for global education. So you can see that the subtitle was Global Collaboration and the hashtag was Global Ed 14. Now you also have the ability to have collaboration, and I'm going to explain that in just a moment. Now, they have added the ability to switch to high quality mode. I would recommend you not to do that. One reason is it will help you save in bandwidth. So even though it gives you that ability, I would not switch it on. I would just start live and it's going to do the default setting. Now here is the setting on your iPhone or your Android. You have the ability to click on the little settings button in the bottom right hand, and then what you see on the right is what shows up. You have the ability to go ahead and type in your tweet, put the hashtag you want to use, and put the category. Now this is what I like about TwitCast over Periscope. Periscope, you don't have the ability to do these things behind the scene. You have to do them right when you start a Periscope. So TwitCast, I went in earlier this morning, put in what I wanted the tweet to be, put in the hashtag for our conference, and put in the category of education. Everything else down at the bottom, I leave alone. Now, I will say for those of you in the K-12 setting, you have this private live, and I'm going to back up a screen. You also down here have the ability to, if you're doing it on your computer, it says protect by secret word. That basically means that your TwitCast is going to be private. So if you don't want anyone in the world to see your TwitCast and you only want it to be a specific audience, then you basically give it a password. You let that audience know what the password is. So I would highly recommend, if you use it with higher elementary or middle school students, that you do a private TwitCast and give them the password to view that TwitCast. The same thing with high school students. They have a little bit more responsibility, but I probably still would use the private link and set a password for each period class and just use that same password all year long. But for me, I always do mine public because I want people to learn from my TwitCast. When you start a TwitCast, a tweet's going to go out. And there's a little link that starts with MOI. Now, if they're watching it with the live viewer, it's going to automatically start the video, and they're actually watching me live. They don't have to do anything other than open up the viewer and listen to what I have to say. Now, another thing you want to remember to do is go ahead and make sure you set the hashtag. Now for us, it's #SpeaksVOL15. And that hashtag always goes out when you do your tweet. Now if you want to add another one, you can add another one as well. This is an example of a TwitCast that one of my graduate students did. And the different screenshots that you see are screenshots of my grad students doing their TwitCast. Now, I talked about the fact that you have the ability to do collaboration. Now, this is what it looks like on my screen when I start a TwitCast. the viewer sees that I'm tweetcasting and they click on the moi.st. Once they click on that, then this is the screen they see. They'll log in to join the collaboration, and then once they join, this is what it looks like on their screen. They're going to see my picture small, and then they're going to see their picture big. Then it's just like any other collaboration. Both people have the ability to speak. Now with Tweetcast, you can have up to 6 people. Now I'll be honest, no one's ever wanted to collaborate with me while I've been doing a Tweetcast, but that ability is there. And so I just want you to know you have that ability to have the collaboration. Now from my screen, this is what it would look like. I see their picture small, and I see my picture big. And then this is what it looks like on the viewer screen once the collaboration is over. Now, what are some ideas to use Tweetcast? Well, one thing is to share with the community. If I'm in the central office or principal or assistant principal and my building is used for community activities, once every 2 weeks or so, I would just do a community Tweetcast talking about things that are coming up in the next few weeks that would be advantageous to the community and let them know what's going on in the building. You also can use Tweetcast to share with parents, grandparents, or guardians. Now, I will say the screenshot that you see right here is what it looks like on your computer when you go to your live screen. It lets you know the various Tweetcasts that you have done. And you're able to go in, and if you want to give that Tweetcast a title, you can give that Tweetcast a title, and then the Tweetcast won't go away. Now, I will say that's another difference between Tweetcast and Periscope. Periscope, after a while, that video goes away regardless of what you do. Tweetcast, the video stays, plus you have the ability to download the video if you want to embed it in your website. You also have the ability to share with faculty and staff. If I was still a building principal, then on a weekly basis, instead of having PD, I would use Tweetcast for my PD. I might meet with them physically, but I would further that through Tweetcast. You also could use Tweetcast for announcements to the faculty and staff. So if you normally get on the PA and share things with the faculty and staff and the students are having to listen to that, instead of using the PA, do a 2-3 minute Tweetcast that they can just pull up and listen to, and then that way you don't have to bore the students with information for the faculty and staff. As I mentioned a moment ago, you can use it for ongoing and systemic PD. So if you do pull them together physically for professional development, and you get back to your office and you say, ugh, I wish I had said thus and so. Do a 2-3 minute Tweetcast and say, oh, by the way, as you continue to further your skills in X, Y, or Z, you can use this. And so it gives you the ability to extend the PD, whether you're a building principal, central office, supervisor, whatever the case may be. Now, from a teacher standpoint, they can use Tweetcast on a weekly basis for classwork and homework updates. And so if I was a classroom teacher, I would send a link to my parents and say, okay, every Friday afternoon I'm going to do a Tweetcast talking about what we've done during the week and giving them a preview of what's going to happen the next week. Now, if you have students who are sick and they have access to a computer, you could also do a Tweetcast during school for that student to keep up with what's going on in the class. So it gives ability for, especially if you have a student that's going to be out for 2 or 3 days because of flu or some other illness, it allows them to stay up with the work and not get far behind. As I mentioned, you can use it for a week in review. Academic club updates. So if you're a sponsor, you can use it for that purpose. various organization updates, sports and club updates. If I was a coach, I would use this as a way to keep my parents involved with what is taking place. Bad weather updates. If I was a principal or even central office and I needed to get information out, I know that the news media is doing that, but I would also do a Twitcast to share that information as well. Now, I mentioned my blog earlier. This is another URL that you might want to write down, and I'm going to get close to it for those that are following me on Twitcast so that they can see it. And it takes you to a specific blog that I did dealing with Twitcasting. So it's simply http://fhu.edu/s/D, little x, the number 7, little I, the number 2. And that will take you specifically to the blog about Twitcasting. I also did a YouTube compilation of the various Twitcasts that I did for 2014. Now, what I did for 2015, instead of doing a YouTube compilation, I went to my blog and basically just put the various Twitcasts in my blog that I did for ISTE 2015. So if you just simply go to drtatum.weebly.com, you will see all the different things that I've shared on my blog. I also use Vine as well, and so you'll see some examples of some Vines that I did at ISTE 2015. Now, I've also given you some examples of different Twitcasts that I have done, and so you simply what I would recommend you to do is go to SlideShare, and again, that link is over on the left-hand side of the screen. Open up the SlideShare, then you can just click on these various links and go to these various Twitcasts and see these examples. These are some examples from some of my graduate students. I would recommend that you take time to look at their Twitcast as well. And here is my information. Feel free at any time to give me a call if you're trying to think of ways to use Twitcast, or you're using it and you think, well, I'm just not quite sure if I'm doing it right. Don't hesitate to call me at my office number, toll-free number. I've given you my email there, my blog, and also my Twitter. Now, at this time, we basically have covered everything that I want to talk about with Twitcast, so I'm going to open it up to the people that are in the audience, and feel free to take a mic and ask me any questions that you would like to ask. And I'm going to sort of scroll down and see if any questions were asked while I was talking. I Ashley asked this question: what would you say are the best features of Twitcast, and how common is it? I can't find too much online, and I'm wondering what sets it apart from screencast, Skype, or the like. Well, what sets it apart from Skype is that Twitcast can easily be done either on Wi-Fi or your data plan, and to me it's much easier than Skype, and Skype doesn't record a video of it, where Twitcast, they're recording a video in the background. So once you're done and you click finish, then it's going to have that video for you to use anytime you would like to. Screencast, if I'm wanting to capture what I'm talking about on my computer screen, then yes, I would use a screencast program. But if I'm actually sharing information that's out in a museum, or if I'm on vacation and I see some things that I want to embed in my class, I can do a quick Twitcast and later embed that video into the class when that time comes. So that would be the difference between TwitCast and Skype and a screencast program. William says, so can you post the recorded TwitCast for parents to see later if they missed the live presentation? Yes, William, you have a link that you can send that URL to the parents or whomever, whether it be parents, teachers, students, you can send that link. Now, if it's a TwitCast that you've given a password to, then they would just simply use that password, because when they click on the link, it's going to say, what's the passcode? So they type in the passcode, and then they can watch the TwitCast. Now, if anyone would like to take the mic and ask a question via the mic, I'm more than willing for you to do that. Ashley says, cool, thanks. Sounds like a good way to archive that will be accessible to students. And yes, it is. And Joanne says, how long does the video take to process? That is dependent upon how many people are using TwitCast the same time I am. Sometimes my video has processed as quickly as 30 seconds, and sometimes it's taken 3 or 4 minutes for it to process. I've never had one take more than 5 minutes, but when I log in, it will tell me how many videos are ahead of mine. So if I see that there's 100 videos ahead of mine, then I know it may be like 4 or 5 minutes. But if it says there's 20 videos ahead of mine, then it's going to be more like 30 seconds to a minute. Any other? Now, a question that you may have is, does the video have accessibility built into it? It does not. But if I downloaded the video, brought it over to YouTube, then I could use the accessibility features in YouTube and just have to clean that up as far as the transcript is concerned. Any other comments or questions? I know I haven't answered all your questions. Okay, now I have a couple of people on TwitCast that have asked questions as well. It says, what about the Meerkat app? The Meerkat app is very similar to Periscope, and again, both of those have to be done strictly with Twitter. Oh, my slides are moving all by themselves. I hope
I'm
that's
moving
not
the
something
slides because I wanted to copy down a link. So I thought while you were asking, I'm going to move the slides. I want to look at a link.
Okay. No problem. I just was afraid a ghost had taken over.
It's a ghost.
But getting back to the question that the person on TwitCast asked about the Meerkat app, the Meerkat and Periscope are very similar, and I still lean toward TwitCast simply because of the things that I can do behind the scenes and the fact that it will record it, and I have the video to use. Now, someone says, what is the bad side of TwitCasting? In the 4.5 years, I really haven't had a bad side. And so I haven't really seen anything bad about TwitCasting. Any other comments, questions? I see that William may be typing a question. Okay, how long can your videos be? I've done a TwitCast as long as about 45 minutes. I have seen some people do a TwitCast for a little over an hour. And so, but I would say most of the time, if you're doing it for educational purposes, you're probably going to want to limit the TwitCast to 10 or 15 minutes, because you know as well as I do, students' time span is not that long. So even for my graduate students, the longest I will do a TwitCast is 20 minutes. Because they'll tell me if I do it longer than 20 minutes, they'll go wash the dishes or something, and they don't necessarily listen to all of it. right, Tim, Dorothy, y'all been pretty quiet. Do y'all have any questions? You can either type them or take over the microphone and talk. I know why you don't want to take over the microphone. You know that I'm twitcasting this, and you don't want your voice to be heard by the world. All right, Tim, they've asked your questions already. Okay. Any other comments? Well, sort of like my dad has said when I preach, once I run out of soap, stop bathing. So I have covered everything I know I need to cover. So unless you have questions, I would say that you're ready to go on with the rest of your day, and I've really enjoyed interacting with you this afternoon. I wish y'all could have seen what I just did on Twitcasting. I just stopped my Twitcast, and all it asked me to do was save video. So now it's doing all that in the background, so I don't have to worry about anything other than later go on to my Twitcast site, and if I want to give it a title, I'll give it a title.
Dr. Tatum, did you see William's question? He says, do parents have to have Twitter accessibility?
When you send, no, they don't have to have Twitter accessibility, because if you send them the link, all they do is just click on the link, and it's actually opening the Twitcast site, but the only thing they're seeing is your video.
Got it.
So they just click on the link, it opens it up, and they watch the video.
I think this would be a great tool for writing conferencing in the K-12 environment with some of those middle school and high school kiddos. It'd be a great tool for that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, it doesn't look like we have looks like all of our questions are finished, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up our presentation this afternoon. Remember that the recording is available the next day, and there is a CPE record of attendance for the recorded sessions. You do get CPE certificate of participation. That's a mouthful, and the credit is ongoing now through next July. I want to read something to you though, because Ms. Connie sent us an email earlier today, and I want to read this to you so I explain this correctly. There are some questions that she's been getting about the CPE credit. So I want to read this to you, that to view it live, you do not need to do anything. And recording, if you view the recording, you will need to verify the watching of the recording by using the CPE record of attendance for recorded sessions located under the recording menu to record credits. But those of you that have attended live today, you will get the credit. That is just for viewers watching it after today. You will have access to your certificate starting at the conclusion of the conference and there till next year's conference. The last access to the recording of a virtual lab will work a little differently. But the credit is there, and you can access that starting tomorrow. Connie, do you want to add anything to that? Did I mess that up? I hope I didn't make that sound like mud. She may be in a different session. Did everybody understand that? Give me a smiley face if that made sense.
It makes sense to me.
Okay. Sometimes all of that can be like mud. Okay, thank you. Tim's typing a question.